Hello, all you crazy Unshavenauts. Welcome to episode 9 of the Unshaven Rant-Cast. I am your host, the well-bearded and now squared off Mark Allen Fishman. Shout out to Kobe. I am joined today with my brothers from other mothers, the incomparably checks to look at it bearded Matt Wright,
Oi, oi.
and still iron stubbled Kyle Nepper.
Could strike a match on this face.
Like, and it always seems this way. Like, do we just get into the cycle, or is literally this just Friday to Sunday for you?
It depends. It depends on what's going on. There was a parent-teacher meeting that I had to make sure I looked like an adult for on Thursday, so there was a shave then. So this truly is Friday to Sunday.
That's still amazing.
That's you got to roll in with that. Just going for the parent teacher. Just got to have that dazed look in your face. Just like, what do you want? What is it? Is it the boy? Is it the girl?
What did they do?
What has he done?
So,
Tell me.
Right now we have this is a very special episode, everybody. And by the way, thank you all. We had more viewers and new subscribers from the last episode than we did the one before it. So we're going to keep this up. Thank you. We have got a special guest. This is a first for us. We did 169 episodes of the first season of Unshaven Rant-Cast. This is like the second or third-ish. We've never had guests. Today, we have a guest.
We had one forever ago. Eric Garneau.
That is true. This is our second guest.
So, new wave guest for those who followed us and know the lore. Before you correct us,
Brandon.
You see what I remembered.
Yeah. And I just don't remember a thing. I was told by my mom, they just came back from Vegas. My dad apparently has no memory left at all, but he recognizes my face, so we're good.
That's all that matters.
Right.
That one looks like me when I was in the way back.
All right, everybody. We are going to have 5 seconds of jazz hands so I can bring in the Unshaven News thing. Matt's not going to mess up this time, is he? That's enough. All right. That was your Unshaven News plug. Thank you, Dan Levy, who's also going to be leaving us a question later on. So we have like one little glom of news to talk about for everybody. And this is going to be kind of a weird push for us going to the next couple of months. So if you have followed along with our story, and I know most of you have, one thing that we started the Samurnauts for, it was a joke. It was meant to be a signal to our fans that we sold out because, you know, we were a deep, hip indie brand doing hip indie things. And we're like, well, nah, monkeys.
We were going to be edgy.
We were totally not. We were so not.
We had those 20-year-old fresh college graduate ideals. We were going to disrupt the system.
Sure did. And we were as sharp as we were as sharp as a disposable razor. So, seriously. So one thing that we kicked around with the Samurnauts as this being this over-the-top commercialized concept, then we got it in our heads like, wait, what if it was? What if someone actually wanted to do something with the Samurnauts? We had got wind of this thing called the International Licensing Expo, which is sort of the show to go to show your IP and get the people who are movers and shakers in that industry interested in your stuff. And this must have been years and years ago that we looked into it, and it was astronomically expensive. So we laughed and said, nah, thank you, we're good. Now, without getting into the long and short of it, this year I tripped over an advertisement by accident. I got schnookered by a salesman who then turned out the whole thing was just a big fancy sham for the expo. But it turns out things have changed since we last talked to them. The expo now has affordable options for schmucks like us. So Unshaven Comics is going to Las Vegas in May to pitch the Samurnauts.
We can afford it.
Right. Now,
cheap is in air quotes.
Here is the craziest thing. I'm sorry. We see you in about...
So cheap, even we can afford it, folks.
Yes, thank you guys.
For anyone who doesn't know, I'm as cheap as you get.
And the funniest thing is, I actually had to pitch this to Kyle and Matt, and I had written down the odds on my desk that Matt would be in like Flynn, like 66% chance Matt would be like double thumbs up, let's go. And I had Kyle at a 1 in 10.
You figured you had a 10% chance of selling me on this whole idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are Vegas odds, baby.
Right. And it was Kyle of all people that was like, we're getting old, let's do it. I'm like, what?
Truth that even after all these years, you still don't know me.
I never got it, but I do know your middle name. Aloysius.
Edwina?
Close. Matt's closer.
I know it's Edward.
We know it's Edward.
Edmonton. And I'm upset that neither of you knew that.
It's not Edmonton.
That's some bullshit. That's the biggest bull since I left the farm, sir.
It's right. Edmonton in my heart. No,
it's not.
Oh no, it's not.
In your heart, if anything,
Wendy's is closer to your heart than Edmonton. Wendy's is closer. For God's sakes.
Well, yes, I eat enough of it. It's like 30% of my heart. So
no, Kyle,
I'm pretty sure it is.
If Kyle could rename himself, let's be honest, it'd be Kyle Carlisle.
Ooh.
Maybe. Kyle Bartholomew Nepper.
There you go. And Matthew, Thomas, Luke, Jimmy, John, Jojo, Jassafras. I'm missing that whole one, but that one.
It's all the Catholic names.
Yes,
including
and of course
Jojo.
I would, including Jojo, my favorite saint. So anyway, we're going to Las Vegas, everybody. So no offense, but please, pretty please, don't get annoyed with us. But over the next couple of months, we may be asking all of you for favors in the engaging with our brand, because
not favors, support.
Yes, support us, please.
Lift us.
When we get to Vegas, we want people to think that people like us. Yes, use your knees. So that's that announcement. Number 2, I want to rip through this quickly so we can get to our guest. Number 2, Traverse City. Yes, whip through it real quick. Traverse City. Sorry, gonna complain a little. So we're going.
We haven't even been there yet.
We haven't even been there yet, and we're going. That's happening. And in fact, only Matt and I are going because it is literally after we get back from Vegas, as in the literal next day. The whole show takes place at a resort, and we were sold by our friend Jim, who did the show and loved it, because you're right in the hotel. You just come right down, and it's there. It's beautiful. It's affordable. It's great. When he went last year, it was $129 a night.
How much is it now?
$200.
That's a significant jump.
That is a huge jump, enough for Matt and I to say, we'll just stay one town over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I find that now, I don't know what control they have or don't have, but I'm just looking at it this way. What person, unless you're truly local, is paying $200 a night for 3 nights and trying to make money at a con? That's a little iffy. No. San Diego, maybe.
Maybe one of those giant T-shirt vendors where they've got like 500 ironic or funny comic shirts, and then
each shirt's $25. Yeah, but not us. So we're going to the show. Our fingers are crossed. But man, $200 is not a discount. And last but not least, Baltimore Comic-Con. We're still waiting. Please give us the green light. I wrote them back this evening just to be like, hey, don't want to be a pest, but
let us love you.
Yeah.
No, let us be in you. I mean, not in a weird way, but just
right.
Let us be in you.
I wrote back the guy. I looked at his last email to us. It seemed positive, so maybe they're just waiting to do some other announcements. But either way, that is the Unshaven News. We're going to do a little bit of jazz hands, and when we come back, for those on the audio podcast, you'll have a new voice. For everyone watching on YouTube, you'll just see me invite them in. So. Okay, that's enough. I'll invite him in. I wasn't sure, Matt, what you were doing.
I was gonna belch, but then I swallowed the bubble.
Oh God.
Ooh. Doesn't that hurt? Right. How can you do that without it hurting?
I don't know.
It's sticking right there. Hi.
Hey, look who's that joining us from his dungeon. Okay, everybody.
Oh, he can't hear. He can't hear nothing.
He can't hear us. How can I do my big?
Wait, he's connecting audio.
Okay, it might be coming now.
There's a check mark. Oh wait, but he's muted.
You're still. It shows you on mute.
Yeah, it's okay. You can unmute and say hi.
It was this weird thing with the joining up. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello. Let me do the actual
sir.
intro because he did pay us for this. So, everybody, this is Chicago's King of Geeks, writer of such titles as Army of Darkness Saves Obama. Thank you. Xena vs. Army of Darkness, Homies, and Grumpy Cat. He is working as a freelance journalist in Chicago and is the illustrious marketing director now with the Hinsdale Humane Society. Everybody, welcome double the L's, double the T's, double the R's, Elliott Serrano. Take it from me. I had to pull that whole thing through because I have misspelled your name 97 times.
Don't worry about it. Even Google gets it wrong. So
that's true.
That happens.
He says that now as he's typing me underneath. How dare you?
Oh, bad internet.
Oh. It doesn't have the autocorrect. Trust me, I only a few times someone spelled my name with a K, but they always seem to get Kyle. I don't like. Has anyone missed the silent G?
Regularly, yeah.
Oh,
the thing that baffles me is I do work a job where I talk to people on the phone a lot. It is shocking how many people here say, "Hi, this is Kyle," and at the end of the call say, "Thanks, Scott." I am truly baffled because this is not a one or two thing time. This has happened. There was a 3-month period where I had a posted note. It happened 12 times in 3 months. That is baffling.
Okay. That's a new one heard on me. Well, that's great.
God.
Well, welcome in. We have known Elliott, I want to say, practically since the start of our con career.
Yeah.
We've been around. I mean, I don't think we all look any different. A little bit more gray.
Well, my biggest complaint about you guys was always that Kyle was always shaved. So how could you call yourselves Unshaven Comics? But I see he's got a little bit of stubble going.
This is usually going on. I use it to sand the deck outside my house on the weekends. So,
and you know what, Elliott, we might have to credit you with this because you're not the only one who's asked us that question, and we have the answer ready. Kyle,
sometimes you wear your beard in your heart.
That sounds like something you need to talk to a cardiologist about.
I feel fine.
Hairy heart.
Bearded heart syndrome is a real problem, and you can donate today to see that all one person who deals with it.
Every sale of a Samronauts book helps shave Kyle's poor hairy heart. This is a t-shirt waiting. Just I don't know how we're gonna do this.
As long as one of us is just holding the boombox playing Sarah McLachlan in the background, just
I will remember.
A bunch of sad pictures of Kyle looking up to Kyle shaking.
You guys are not putting me in another dog kennel, okay? You are not putting me in another dog kennel for photos.
With my right hand up.
And your left hand crossing your fingers.
Anyway. What you're talking about. All right,
yeah, no, you guys, of course, I've known you from the Comic Con days. You're at the booth, Kyle, of course, out there doing the pitch. Always pitching people on the book. Mark, and you'd be sitting there, sketching something. Matt, you do the same thing. Matt, I'm still waiting for that Indiana Jones Han Solo thing that we worked on 1,000,000 years ago. We talked about 1,000,000 years ago.
Oh my Lord!
Please tell me he's going to pull that in.
Elliott, you know what the funny thing is give me 2 seconds here. I was actually cleaning up the other day, and I think I actually found the beginnings of it.
Yeah, you started sketching it
10 years ago.
Yeah, I still have the.
Yeah,
I still have the beginnings of it.
Wow.
I've got to ink it up, so I'll get it. I'll see if I can get it to you this year if we run into you, sir. So
this year, I like that. That's a good. Give yourself the buy. Just give me a year, Elliott.
10 months.
It would be a cute print. Everyone always, you guys are always selling. Although I know those polka mashups that you've been doing have been selling really well, right?
Yeah, they've mutated us into a 2-table thing.
Beast.
But
pretty good.
It's the kind of thing that I kind of go back to. I think it was the anime Milwaukee, maybe. Was that the bad one?
Yeah.
So like we were there and Kyle was doing the show by himself, but he
No,
called for
no, that wasn't Anime Milwaukee. It was like PopCon Milwaukee.
okay, yeah. And he called for backup because it turned out like we were across kitty corner from this uh t-shirt booth
I
that
got a
was just
nemesis.
yeah, like he was just really perturbed at Kyle's style. And, I don't want to say it was similarly timed, but definitely that, like, you know what? It would be great to have a thing that stopped people that you didn't have to pitch, but it stopped them anyway. Tommy Castillo was another one that ripped into us.
I'll always remember him. Yeah, so a huge person in the industry telling me I'm wrong and I need to stop everything that I'm doing. Who doesn't want that?
Right.
Meanwhile, he's literally across the aisle from us at his own booth with, against a back wall that has like at least 20 feet high of prints and everything.
Easily.
It's just like, dude, people can see you from across the way. You don't have to do anything. Like we're grinding. Like,
Right. It's always the jealous type.
Well, it's the difference of prints versus books. You can look at a print and say, "Oh yeah, it's Conan cutting a skeleton in half," or "It's Superman looking down at Metropolis," versus, "Hey, here's my book." You're not gonna get Elliot. Could I truly understand just looking at the cover what Grumpy Cat is about in total?
Yeah, really. And that's the part, yeah. And you hit it right on the head too, because even with the Grumpy Cat books, because you always have, there was a lot of pinup work in the books, and oh my goodness, I would bring stacks and stacks of Army of Darkness books, thinking, that's the thing, because I remember when I'd go to cons, especially like if Bruce Campbell was appearing somewhere, everyone has the Army of Darkness stuff, Evil Dead stuff. And no, I bring my Grumpy Cat books, and oh my goodness, I couldn't. They flew off because people were buying them. They were buying them for their kids. Especially, I love the bit where I could, I would insult the children, in the voice of Grumpy Cat on the book, and they loved it. They would crack up, like I met Tommy at Comic-Con. It was terrible. Signed Grumpy Cat, and they're loving it. So, but yeah, but it's that thing. There is that instant recognition with something like Grumpy Cat, which wasn't really even known for comics, right? It was really known for a meme.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And saw that, they identified that easy, boom, 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 as opposed to a book like even Army of Darkness or Homies. Homies was one that we thought was going to take off, and unfortunately it wasn't marketed the right way. I have a lot of respect for Nick and the folks at Dynamite for putting it together, but they kind of, I also say the book was kind of ahead of its time because the artist on it, Andrew Huerta, had this really funky style to him that was really cool, that people years from now are going to go, wow, this book was really cool. Why didn't it catch on? And, but it is what it is.
So it goes. Now,
Yeah.
Elliot has joined us here. He is going to do the Unshaven Views with us. So since he is our guest, he gets to go first and last. Matt, Kyle, and I have all agreed to only do one thing this whole podcast, and I've already forewarned both of my co-hosts that your second topic will put both of them to sleep.
Look, I can stay more engaged than Kyle. I will fully admit that as far as that topic is going to concerned.
Though we
at least I try and dip my toe into it still.
I see this is
Somewhat.
all foreshadowing, and said Kyle has already come up with a great gimmick for it. So, with that said, Elliot, what is your topic? The first one.
Well, my first topic, really, I wanted to talk about the state of fandom today in comics, movies, and everything, especially in light of how social media has affected it. Because I'm telling you, I can't recall a time in my 40 plus years of being a fan of things. I'm talking going back to when I, even before the first Star Wars, right? Premiered in theaters. I love things like $6 Million Man. The first Spider-Man show with Nick Hammond. I don't remember fandom being as toxic as it's been. I mean, because no matter where you go, I can't think of a single fandom where you can't find some really intense pool of toxicity in it. Okay. And Oh my God, the entitlement of it all. The entitlement. The whole, oh, I can't believe that that's what they did with this. And, my favorite is always when Lucas created the special editions for Star Wars, and he's saying, he always felt that they were kind of unfinished, so he went back and he had ILM redo a bunch of the special effects. And I remember when the movies first came out, everyone loved him, but then later on, the pendulum swung back the other way. But yet people going, oh, well, you know what? Lucas he can't do that because Star Wars is a work of art and it belongs to the public now. And he can't do that without us saying it's okay, like to some effect. They were saying, baloney like that. And I don't know. I see that all across fandom. It's so much this entitlement that it has to be what they want it to be. And if it's not, and I don't want to get into the whole, that gatekeeping that happens in some areas where all of a sudden the X-Men
that's a whole nother talk.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, it's a whole nother topic. But I'm just saying, in general, there is a lot of entitlement in fandom now that they criticize TV shows, movies, whatever, saying that, well, that's not the way I think it should be. And the creators and these movie studios and these television studios really need to listen to what I want and do it the way I want them to. Am I wrong in saying that sort of thing goes on?
I don't think you're wrong.
No.
I mean, I think social media might be the key there, because my only working theory here would be that toxicity might have existed from the jump, but social media now allows you to find your fellow toxic fan to glom onto your opinion. I remember my first Comic-Con that I went with, Matt took me to a Wizard World. I think we were in high school, and
probably Chicago.
Yeah, it would have to have been.
Back in its heyday, yeah.
Back in its heyday, back when Marvel and DC had huge booths, and you would sit in the theater and they would show you a year's worth of publications to come. And it was like, before Apple was doing the crazy stuff, this was them like, here's what's going to happen in Batman for this year. And you would like ooh and ah and clap. But like, you'd sit there and there would still be that rumbling from the asshole behind you, going, "Ugh, they're doing another Riddler story. Great. We needed one of those." And like, we're sitting back there like, yeah, you do. It's great. Why not? So social media may have amplified it for sure.
It depends. If you go looking for that stuff, you can always find it. I mean, I say this as a person who browses Reddit. I am one of those disgusting sewer people. You can find people who will dump on anything about how awful it is. I'm going to be talking about True Detective for my thing, and yeah, there's a lot of that recently. Believe it or not.
No boy.
So there is. I think it's always been there. I think if you go looking for it, and if you look further and further out, you will find it for sure. Inevitably, you can't please everyone. There's always going to be people who hate something because it's not perfect for them. But I mean, going to what Mark says, if you go to conventions or places like this, it depends where you're looking. Like, let's talk about the Snyder Cut as an example. You can find people who absolutely praised it and demanded it and wanted it, and you can find all kinds of conventions and premieres where people couldn't say enough good things about how wonderful his universe was. But at the same time, you could find people online, all over on X, formerly known as Twitter, championing and decrying it. It's always been there. Do I think it's worse than it's ever been before? Like, are we hitting new levels? I don't think so. In my opinion, I don't think it's worse. I think that people just sort of gather the opinions and group them so it looks like more rather than being spread out. I think people are grouping together for it more than they used to because of social media's availability.
You're very right about that, Kyle. And I would say 98% agree with you. My thing is, this is a thing that I see, and this is as someone who runs an Indiana Jones page. And as of late, oh my God. And I have an Instagram, which is slowly building up in popularity and, for Indiana Jones fandom. And it's like everyone's got to tell me how much they hate Dial of Destiny and how Dial of Destiny is the worst Indiana Jones film that they've ever seen. Even though they're the minority, I mean, I loved it. There are a lot of folks on there who really enjoyed it, but there's always that rando who's got to come by and tell me why I'm dumb for liking this film and why it's terrible. And don't get me wrong, I understand not liking a film. I understand having a different opinion about it, but it's the whole, how could you like something that is objectively bad, right? You know, that's the thing that kills me now, how objectively has turned into like literally,
Yes.
you know,
It's taken over.
Well, it's springboarding off of, Mark and Kyle's points together. It's just, has it been there? It probably always has to some degree. The internet has just given voice and mouths to people in mass to go on and voice those opinions more often. Not only that, but you're talking, you said it yourself, you came from $6 Million Man, the original Spider-Man live action, things of that nature, where we are somewhat in that same ilk. When we were getting stuff, we were getting it in dribs and drabs of like live action. I know Kyle will remember it, I don't think Mark will. The live action TV special of Gen X,
I
when that
remember it.
aired,
We
there's
talked about that a lot.
it was
I
like
was
little
in
things
Kyle's
like that, you
basement
would
for
get
it.
right. you would get it and you were like, oh, like there was a certain level of like, oh my God, I never thought I would see this. And then there's also that aspect of like, that's how they went about it, but you kind of just, you took it when you got it because there was so little of it. And now I think it's just easier for people to quote unquote bitch and moan about everything because they have an embarrassment of riches to pull from. I mean,
It's
how
disheartening.
much, it's a little bit of an overload, and then it's also a little bit of something like, I was having a discussion with my son on the way to baseball practice where he was commenting like, wow, there's a lot of kids down at the local park. And I'm like, yeah, he's like, they're really young. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, they're never going to realize, the park that was there before was like the best park imaginable. And I'm like, you're right, they won't. But that's their park now, dude.
yeah,
And they're going to
yeah.
grow up and you know, that's what they loved and that's what they enjoyed. Just like you're going to look at the park you grew up on, that was the best thing imaginable, and it's just going to cycle and repeat over and over and over again. So,
And and that's it. And I would say this to your point, Elliot. It's disheartening to me, like knowing that there's an undercurrent that happens like that. Because I will admit, it prevents me, let's say, from bum rushing to view or grab content, knowing that there is already fan backlash. I haven't seen Dial of Destiny. I've clearly heard enough that I kind of know, well, it sounds to me like it was pretty polarizing. There are the people that like apologized for it and love it, and there are the people that decried it as the worst thing in the world. And it does make me go, man, I just wish I could just get that check mark where all of humanity comes together and like, you know what? We're okay. And I feel like maybe the last time that might have happened could have been Infinity War 1. Like where everyone was like, yeah, man, that was, everything blew up. It was great. It was 2.5 hours and everything blew up and it was great. And then we got the second one. Everyone's like, well,
It didn't blow my mind the way I thought it would.
there's a
Yeah,
time paradox and I don't like it now.
Can I just step back to one thing, by the way?
Yeah.
To Elliot's commentator there, the whole, it's objectively awful. I'm sorry, art, by definition, is subjective. It's, I interpret it good, you interpret it bad. If they are saying it's objectively terrible, they've already proven they don't know what they're talking about. They've taken themselves down already and saying, my opinion is flawed and bad already. A can of soup is objectively a can of soup. Art is subjectively good or bad.
Did anybody here
plus,
see Nick Offerman today, by the way?
No.
I don't know how recent this was, but Nick Offerman just won an award for his part in The Last of Us.
Oh, I think that was a couple of weeks ago, or a week or two ago.
Whatever
Yeah,
it was,
yeah,
he
yeah.
won some kind of Independent Spirit Award, and his acceptance speech hit my TikTok today. And he like accepts his award and he thanks everybody and acknowledges the other nominees. And then he says, by the way, to all, and this was his speech. By the way, to all the people that are coming up to me and saying, "Why did you have to make it a gay story?" It's not a gay story; it's a love story, you asshole.
Good.
And the whole crowd just stood up
Good.
and went crazy. I'm like, that's how you shut him down.
Yeah. I think too. There's another part though that kind of drives me nuts. And I mean, you guys, you see this in comics, right? Now you have and this is the other one that really grinds my gears in as a Peter criticism, is you have like now these professionals, whether they are name pros or aspiring pros, who now take shots at other creators and how they did certain things. And that just really, that's, I find that incredibly disheartening, especially when I know aspiring screenwriters who are currently film critics. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that if you're going to be a screenwriter that you should love everything you see, right?
Right.
Roger Ebert was a screenwriter. He was a writer, but he was, I thought, a really good critic in explaining what worked and what didn't work with the film or story or whatever. Now it's just, oh, this really sucks. And this is the way I would have done it, which is just, it again, another thing that is maddening to me, because it's like, that's like going to Picasso and saying, well, I don't get this cubism thing. I probably would have put more curves in there if I had done that, that painting.
Right. No, that could definitely be frustrating. And as a fan, it's hard. I know that like that kind of breaches topic, but if you follow a creator, it's one of the worst feelings in the world when it turns out the creator you like is a, nincompoop or shares, like I remember when all of us eventually find out like, oh, Frank Miller's that crazy guy from The Simpsons with the gun. Going, oh man, I kind of like Dark Knight Returns. What's
I
mean, that's a whole nother topic of, can you separate the art from the artist on some things and the whatnot, but
we're all guilty of it. But hey, Elliott, thank you for introducing perhaps the first actual worthy topic of a show where it's like, I'm going to talk about Legos.
Yeah, I like Legos.
Good.
Legos
Kyle,
cool.
roll that die. Let's see if it's my turn.
Number 5.
That's my turn. I get to talk about Legos.
Oh, the fix is in.
The die decided. Perfect segue.
It works. Okay, so here's my topic for the week. I have a pretty stressful day job these days. I work for a marketing company, an agency, and we have a lot of clients, which means I have a lot of work to do. I started to fray at the edges, and I was like, you know what? I need something to turn my brain off. I want to watch Ted Lasso, cry every 5 minutes, and make something. So I happened on eBay to discover the TIE Fighter.
Ooh.
And it's begun. It's gonna be a problem because meet his brother, the TIE Bomber.
Oh no, boy, what have you fallen into?
For those who are listening to the podcast and not necessarily watching video, we were talking about Lego TIE Fighters, right?
Yes. Yeah.
These
are the Lego sets. These are the newest ones that came out.
That are fully assembled. These aren't still in the box. They're already done.
Oh, yeah. And I put them through. But here's kind of like my love and hate relationship with the brand right now. First of all, in terms of engineering, these things are rock solid. Like they're put together beautifully. It's hard to show on video, but the lasers actually fire out of it.
Wow.
The cockpit opens up, everything. That's all that one does. But the TIE Bomber actually has dropping bombs and shooting lasers, and they're super fun to put together. But I recognize, as much as I'm a fan of these, I am not inclined to take them apart and build anything else with them. And the appeal, I thought, when we were growing up with Legos was to make your own thing. Like you'd get Lego spaceships and stuff. Now, my cousin had all the old Star Wars stuff, and he for sure built it and Loctited it down, and that was it. And I was like, at that point, what's the point? I get it now later. going, oh, it's just fun to put something together, and it's like a model, it doesn't have to come apart.
Yeah.
But I always thought the appeal of Legos is to build with your own imagination. But everything Lego that you buy is a set now.
Well, you can do both.
You
And
can.
to counterpoint, this might not be an adult thing, and I bring this up only because I have a now 6-year-old who recently had a birthday party at a Lego store.
Nice.
And got quite a few boxes to put together, including kids 3-in-1s, which for anyone who isn't familiar, it's literally like a box where it's all the pieces and you can use them to build, like, one of them is you can build a dragon, a fish, or I think like a dog. And it's like same pieces, but follow the direction, 3 sets of instructions so you can build all 3. I believe he also has one where it's like a space shuttle, an airplane, and a boat. So there are options for that, and you can buy just like big old loose boxes of bricks and like randomized parts. So the idea, I think, is you can get both, because everyone likes Legos. People want to imagine new things, or people want to build existing things.
I mean, right? Legos predates all that license stuff. I mean, so I can see you wanting, like, before you had Star Wars sets or Harry Potter sets or whatever, if you were adept enough with the Lego engineering, you could create that on your own, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
But then they locked up the licenses and they say, oh, guess what? We're putting it together for you, which then you go, oh, wow. Yeah, okay. So, let me tell you the one thing in the world, a little piece of knowledge that I know about Legos that stresses me out to no end.
Child labor.
Buddy, yeah, that's actually behind this part. My buddy John Clark has the original Temple Escape Indiana Jones set from the 2000s. It's like this like 1,200 piece behemoth. They reissued a newer version of it that I ended up buying myself. But he had it, has all, the boulder, the traps, all that kind of stuff in Legos, right?
Nice.
Well, after he put it together, his kids just took it apart. And you know what they did? They took all the pieces and they just put them in different containers of all the like colors. So it's like, if you wanted to reassemble the sets, you have to go through every individual container to try to find them.
The OCD,
it's a form of like Chinese water torture that just I never thought would exist, but just
yeah,
so that.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I put these together, and I have the booklets, but for sure, I will say it's definitely a difference between when I was a kid and now. When I was a kid, I had one little Lego briefcase that you kind of open up and you just dump all your parts into. These, you have to follow the bag, and they come with numbers, and you build components. And I most definitely OCD built these things. I opened the bag, I separated by color,
I'd like to say that's not a totally new thing. I mean, I grew up with Lego sets. My dad loved us building Legos. We had a giant table in our guest room in our house. That was the Lego table that had the giant monorail set. And these were from when I was like a kid, because they weren't licensed. Elliott's got that right, but
monorail.
They were, yeah, monorail. They had pirate sets. They had the knight sets where you're like building castles and like catapults and
spaceship.
Stuff. They weren't licensing yet, but they did have like pre-built sets of stuff that you could build to play with.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was my favorite.
It's kind of an interesting dilemma now where you walk down the Lego aisle right now and you see all these various sets, and then now they've caught up with some of the popularity of the Lego movie on the one level with the spaceship set, where it's like the classic 80s pieces. And I remember seeing there's now these old school Lego spaceships, and I'm looking at going like, I think that's the same one that was when I was a kid. Like, it looks like the same logos, the same everything, and I'm just like, they're selling my childhood back to me. Thank you. That's
all brands are doing it.
All that loveliness too. But to go on,
buy the classic sculpts of the Ninja Turtles too. It's not
right. But I mean, like, but to swing the pendulum the other way, it's also kind of been an interesting thing to look at Lego when they acquire these licenses and when they release these previews, and they're like, what do what do you think about this? Do you think you like this? And I remember the hype behind seeing the Ghostbusters firehouse, or the
Mm.
Ecto One, and you just kind of thought to yourself, like, from a nerd level, I never thought I would see a Lego
Like a
kind of thing
licensed
like that,
version like
like a
that, not a
licensed
fan
version of
build.
that, or like the Friends cafe scene, or The Office, and yeah, there you go, sir.
Yeah, the
Like
Bond car.
the Bond
Mm.
car, it's
Nice.
it's been kind of an interesting thing of watching that and going like, that's kind of neat too,
It's
so.
neat, but I will say this much: as a frugal old man, expensive AF.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
they're like in the hundreds for like the big sets, and even the more artistic ones, because the ones I keep seeing around now are the whole, yes, you can make a flower arrangement out of Legos.
Oh yeah,
It's don't because who doesn't want to build orchids
out of
with their
Legos
Legos?
for $100. So like, obviously, I love the TIE fighter and the TIE bomber, and I was like, you know what? What would quell the OCD? I need a TIE interceptor, and I know that they don't do the TIE advanced. I wish they did, but they don't.
So what you're saying is you're in a hole, but you
Yes,
feel the solution is to dig deeper.
right.
Just throw more money at
It's
the
a
problem.
they
Then
have
you'll
the
feel
tie
complete.
they have the tie interceptor, but you can't
Uh,
buy it without also getting something from the Mandalorian. And the set itself retails at $100, and I'm going, I don't want to spend $100 to get the one thing I want.
Oh, but you're gonna.
It's gonna happen, but I have to bitch
Hey,
about it.
hey, Mark, do you want to hear my odds that you're gonna break down and do it? Because it's not 1 in 10.
I know it's not 1 in 10. Can we get some timeline on that at least?
oh,
I'm gonna give you a month.
A month. I can actually. I can deal with that.
Well,
Now,
we'll match it up with
I give it two
Matt's.
weeks after, when one of his kids touches one of these things and just instantly breaks it.
I've shown all of them, and uh, aside from wanting to see how they work, they've kind of left it alone because they know that in the basement there's about 70 random pieces in corners, and they're just waiting for dad to be like, hey, you want to play with this, go pick up the ones down there. Because somebody got one of my kids like a race car, and he was adamant he'd put it together, and then video games happened. So we got we got a wheelbase, so that was kind of zipping around, and then I think Mara tried to make it a roller skate, and that was the end of that.
Well, I know my
Which,
son is
you gotta start
he
basic,
loved
man.
Yeah.
well, Aiden loves Legos, and he's still, even going into sixth grade, he still does. It is hitting a nerve in his somewhat engineering brain that is absolutely lovely. But his pride and possessions right now that he displays proudly is those head sculpt ones. He loves doing them. He really likes them, and they look really cool. They really do.
I
So,
liked their Funko, the ones they were doing for a while, the like little Funko-esque characters, but
the only one that one day I will probably break down, and I'll probably have a couple of beers in me when I'm ordering it too, is going to be the Optimus Prime. It's going to happen.
I mean, I want it too, but man, I don't think you can get it for less than 150.
No, it's like 250 easy. So
Yeah, well, roll that die, Kyle, before we waste our money.
Okay. Back to the die. Number 4.
That's you.
It's me. Okay. So, yeah.
Poor Matt.
Oh, he'll be fine. So, hey, you mute yourself to cry. Be seen and not heard. So,
I have the power. I'll
anyway,
shut him up.
there you go.
Unshaven and unheard. Jeez.
Unshaven and unheard. There we go. We're just generating t-shirt ideas now.
People on the YouTube, this is great. Matt, either he's actually saying something, but he's
No, he's freestyling. He's clearly freestyle rapping. Look at the hand movements. He's telling a story.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Anyway, no, season 4 of, I think I talked about this in the last podcast. Season 4 of True Detective wrapped up. Stellar cast, a lot of hype behind it, and viewership in the millions, higher than I think any other season they had. I'll double check that, but they were seeing supremely large viewerships on it. And yeah, as I mentioned, I'm on Reddit, which is probably a mistake because it's True Detect. I follow the True Detective subreddit, and yeah, a lot of hate for this, and a lot of people, much like the Indiana Jones fan, talking about how it is, objectively awful and the worst television ever written. And I'm willing to say, no, it's not as good as some of the earlier seasons, but it's an anthology show. It's an anthology show telling different stories. And it's difficult to say, oh, well, this piece of apple isn't as good as that piece of mango I had earlier in the year. It's different things will be different. And I, for one, enjoyed the original, the first season, which is considered a masterpiece by a lot of people, and I'm willing to agree. But honestly, I thought this season was fine. It wasn't great. It had some holes in it, but every story does. There's very few perfect, flawless stories. So I don't quite see, I don't quite see why this season got as much hate as it did. It did do a little bit harder leans of the whole, is it paranormal? Is it not? Spoilers for anyone watching, mute for the next until I count down from 5. Spoilers, it's not. It's not supernatural at all. It's a mislead. But so they do answer the questions, and a lot of people weren't satisfied with that. But honestly, I don't think they've ever not pulled that card. Every time shows like this have said maybe there is some area of paranormal. Unless it's dedicated to it, no, there isn't. There's never any real paranormal. It's always a man behind the curtain
Well, I think
or a complete misread.
you hit two things there though. One, you enjoyed it,
I
and
did a lot.
two, you said super high viewership.
Yeah, the showrunner's already been renewed for season 5.
So
So yeah, there's a lot of people who are bitching and moaning on, sorry, YouTube, that complaining and moaning online. But yeah, it had supremely high numbers. And while there were some flaws and holes in it, the actors, the actual like production of the show, the scene work was really good, in my opinion. There's more that they could have done, but honestly, I think they kind of, this was the shortest season they've ever done. It's usually been 8 episodes, or I think some of them were 10. But this one was only 6. So for the time frame that they had, for the availability of what they had for the people, I think they basically, I think I would love to see what got left on the cutting room floor, or even like cut from scripts. Because I'm guessing there's some points where it's like there had to have been another spot here. There had to have been something on the end of this that they just realized, well, sorry guys, to make this fit into 6 episodes, we got to cut 15 minutes. So that's got to go. So there's some script tightening that I'm certain some things had to get sacrificed, but that's
you enjoyed
that's television and movies. You gotta fit budgets and time frame.
Elliot, did you see it?
I've watched the first 2 episodes, and I've enjoyed it. I've been enjoying it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to spoil anything for you. I hadn't
No,
realized that.
no. Actually, I read. No, you technically not. It's so much a spoiler because I read a review about the conclusion, or someone on Facebook did a bit, and they were saying kind of like what you just said in a way. So, and I was like, oh, I like that, but I can also see where it was kind of going. I was personally, well, before I get too sidetracked on this, one, I liked it. I've liked it so far. I love Jodie Foster. She's great. Oh my God, perfect. seeing Clarice Starling get railed by one of the doctors, by
Eric Eccleston. Or Eccleston.
Yeah, Chris Eccleston was I was not expecting that, but
I got 4 episodes in before somebody wrote a thing pointing out it was him, and I had no idea. The American accent is flawless.
Yeah, he's very good. There were some things about the episode that were a tad triggering for me because I have a history of mental illness in my family. So a lot of that stuff that the characters were going through was very similar to stuff that's happened in my own family. So, and I don't mean triggering in a negative way, triggering in just like I really got what was happening here. I really, really was getting it. So yeah. So I'm really enjoying it, but there are 2 things that didn't help unfortunately this. It doesn't help when the creator of True Detective says he has nothing to do with it, and even he didn't care for the season. Nick Pizzolatto, that he's come out and said, yes, he's an executive producer on the series, but he said he had nothing to do with it and apparently had issues with it as well. So that doesn't help matters. And
No.
And let's be honest here. This is a show that got started in the beginning featuring two men, and the most popular thing about that original season was what did they call her? Butt stuff T-Mobile girl. You know, the girl that that did nude scenes and all that, and that was the audience that got pulled in. So now you have a part of it where you have women who are in the lead, women who are showing their own agency. If anything, women who, like, if they want to screw you, trust me, they're gonna be the ones on top, and the guys are pretty much being submissive in many cases to them. And those guys who love the first season are gonna be like, women strong. I don't like that.
Triggering the bros.
Yeah.
I just don't like to talk
Let me
about
weep
them.
a
I know
tear.
they're there. I know those people are there, and I just don't like talking about them at all. I'm hoping that.
But you know what,
ignoring them
Kyle? I
means they'll
like that
eventually go away.
it brings back Elliott's point.
Right, I was gonna say that ties back into Elliott's original point about toxic fandom of just, there's been times in the past we have been not, I wouldn't say guilty, but just shades of it ourselves, where if the original creator wasn't part of a project that we were like, oh, we really like that property, but the original creator has decided he's not going to be a part of that. I wonder how that's going to factor in. I don't really like that. Now that kind of opens it up for some things, but let's give it a shot. We're on the fence of like, let's see what happens, but we've raised flags. We've raised concerns of like, are they going to go in the same way? Or are they just going to take the same ideas and then 180 them kind of situation?
That's the thing about an anthology or an ongoing story. I mean, no one's going to say, no, I don't like any X-Men story that wasn't written by Stan Lee. Anything else that he did not give his personal blessing to or write isn't good enough or isn't something. If it was the same characters every season building through, I mean, this isn't the X-Files. It's a different place, a different time, and different stories each time. And it's just the focus is about two detectives on the case that defined them. That's really what if you boil it down to a sentence, that's kind of what the show is doing season to season. And that's great, but not everyone is going to be that way.
You're not gonna
except season 2.
No, I despise season 2. I really did. I did not. It just did not work for me. But I mean, season 1 was almost perfect for me. It was almost like, wow. I mean, because it was a casting, right? Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson were like, these two were like almost born to be.
It was writing,
peanut butter. It was
direction,
peanut butter
and
and jelly.
casting. It's every cylinder just like fired exactly on point.
I mean, you guys can say all this you want, but none of it compares to Walker, Texas Ranger season 4. Flawless. Flawless.
Just put a finger up. I'm just gonna.
What do I push to mute you?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm gonna put a hand over my screen to kind of just.
This one?
Yeah.
No, I think it was a good point. But I want to keep things moving. I think it was a good point. So, Matt, it is your turn.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
Number 1.
I was default. Anyway, I was going to just kind of bring up the interesting thing that James Gunn has recently posted a picture of the ensemble cast for Superman Legacy, and bringing up that coming up, just looking at it and seeing the whole cast together, I was really happy to see, things come together. But then it did bring up concerns on the fact that we're talking about a younger Superman, and younger Superman adventures. And then just looking at everybody that was listed for all the different characters, and such a very interesting mix from like Hawkgirl to Guy Gardner to Mr. Terrific to the engineer from The Authority. And there was a part of me that thought to myself that if we're going to go for a younger Superman, story, is it the right, it's an interesting play, but is it the right play to do an ensemble
there is.
cast, like such a big ensemble cast, Metamorpho and such a big ensemble cast of characters? Would it have been a better idea to maybe try and focus on a younger Superman coming up? But I don't know. It's a very interesting direction that they're taking it, and I'm on board. I really am. I really want to see how they're going to go about it, but um, it kind of feels like, in a weird way, a little bit of some Black Adam repeating, where it's just, I don't know how much we can trust this one character. Let's try and cram a bunch of other properties in at the same time, see what sticks. But I don't know. I have some concerns, but I'm interested to see how it goes.
So to keep in line with what Elliott says, how can we not be toxic about just a cast picture? We don't know to what end Guy Gardner's actually in the film,
by not using words like objectively wrong.
True.
No, I don't. I'm not really saying. I'm not saying anybody's wrong for these picks in any way or form. I'm more interested to see how they're going to play. Or how young is he? Are we talking here? Are we saying like he's established and these are just ensemble characters? How young are we going? Are we going like he's just come onto the scene? And if that's the case, are we, having such a big ensemble? Is that kind of the thing? Because, obviously with the Flash saying that that's, had a Flashpoint moment and reset the universe, when you had Black Adam, it was kind of an interesting thing to see the Justice Society brought in with all those characters.
Ish.
Well, I don't think
we
I don't
have
think
some.
they're going to go.
Oh, there's some toxicity there, sir. I'm sorry.
I don't think we're going to see that early, because I think one thing they've done in the last few years for a bunch of movies, like the newest The Batman movie, or even our recent Spider-Man movies, I feel like they've hit the point where they've realized, yeah, we don't have to do a full-on origin anymore. People get it. We can allude to it. People can figure it out, and let's just hit the ground already. Let's just already be in motion. Like Suicide Squad didn't feel the need to do an origin on everything. We didn't have to see where Amanda Waller came from. We just get a little bit of backstory, and then let's just move everybody forward and just tell a story. I don't think we need to keep doing. We've had too many damn origin movies already. I mean, we can talk about if there are too many comic book movies with the embarrassment of riches, but there's definitely too many origin movies and re-origins. So I think my hope, and it's Gunn has had no problems doing this already, just hit the ground, just start the movie already in motion, and people will either catch up or not, but make the movie entertaining either way.
I'll go so far as to say this much, and then I'm passing it to Elliott. I trust James Gunn, period. He won me over on Guardians 3 times. Peacemaker, the television show, I literally just finished my second go through on it, and it's pretty damn good. And I see that cast, and seeing what he did on Peacemaker, I feel like the comic book stuff is relaxing, and they're being able to tell a little bit more interesting, jokey. We don't have to take ourselves seriously if Gunn is behind the helm of it. I mean, take half the crap that Peacemaker says about the other people, including the end of Peacemaker. If you've seen it, I'm not spoiling it. But if that's where we're going towards, I'm in, let it happen. And if for nothing else, just my own personal fandom, Metamorpho in a comic book movie, hell yeah, I'm showing up. I don't care if he's in it for 5 seconds. Like, short of Kyle Rayner, that's like number 2. And fair possibly enough. The Question, but let's just wait for that one. Elliott?
No, I echo you, Mark. Yeah, I trust James Gunn. I think if there's any character he gets, it's going to be Superman. So not to dismiss your concerns, Matt. I mean, it does seem like, wow, there's a lot they're throwing in here. But for all we know, these are all just cameos. These are all just characters in the background that Superman is coming into a world where all these characters already exist, right? But beyond that, speaking of toxic fandoms, can we put James Gunn up for a sainthood or something? When you look at the number the amount of bullshit he deals with on social media, and he gets these fans who are like angry and come at him at things, and he responds with patience and grace and civility. We're talking, he shows a sense of decorum that I could never show if I had that many people coming after me on social media. I mean, I've had people come at me, and the first thing I want to do is snark right at them, just start roasting people. But no, he comes back and he's very, very cognizant of that. He's representing, again, was it WB Discovery, or what are they calling
Whatever
it
they are
now?
this week.
Whatever they are, yeah.
Yeah.
But also that he is like in charge of this universe that so many people are passionate about, and comes out and goes, no, that's not true. That's true, or this could be it. Just for that alone, I'm gonna give James Gunn a huge, a lot of leeway in reserve judgment. Yeah.
Acclaimed
And
director Elliott Serrano hurls fifth child.
But I mean, like, I get all of that, and that's why, again, it's seeing that picture, and it's, I love Superman so much, of just like, I'm one of the few that I enjoyed Man of Steel. Like, if they would have just, my only complaint for that whole thing, probably on the most part, was like if they would have just turned the color opacity up a little bit, and not made it so gray. But otherwise, I enjoyed Man of Steel for what it was. But
okay, I gotta
again,
go.
this
I can't listen to any more of this.
oh, there it is.
You
That's
broke
the
him.
table
You
flip.
broke the guest,
I
man.
broke him. But I look at that and I say, like, okay, let's see where it goes. It's just so many characters in there, just kind of makes me a little worried, but I am still game to go and see it. I still want to see. I mean, again, this goes back to what we talked about earlier, when you would see certain things on the screen that you never thought you would see. Looking at all of those lists of things, Mark, Metamorpho, seeing that Guy Gardner, I could have seen, as a Green Lantern. Hawkgirl, I could have seen, in the greater sense of the words. But I mean, you're talking about somebody's cast as the engineer from The Authority. Like, that one, I had to read that twice. I was like, really? Wow, that's left field. Okay, let's go. Like,
5 more phases in Marvel, and I get the Black Knight on the Ultra Force.
I'm just going to point out, do you see who the big announcement, who one of the characters they announced who's coming back, who was in that group shot? Lex Luthor's got his sidekick back. Otis.
Oh, I was hoping for Mercy. Not that she's
No.
canon, but she's canon.
What about Miss Tessmacher? Let's bring back Miss Tessmacher.
Yes, bring it all back, please.
Ah!
All right. Now, on that note, we're actually just going to give the ball right back to Elliott for his final, and then we're going to close shop. And then there's going to be a little YouTube bonus episode after this, so stay tuned. So, Elliott, what's your final topic to close? Bring it home.
So, talking about fandom, how toxic it can be, and really how incredibly entitled it can be. It has been, I don't know if there has been a clearer demonstration of that than in the recent developments within the WWE and the Roman Reigns, Rock, Cody Rhodes storyline leading up to WrestleMania. To say it also briefly, Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble this year, which means he got to challenge whichever champion he wanted to main event in at WrestleMania. And for folks who've been following the WWE for the past year, Cody Rhodes lost to Roman Reigns in the main event last year and said he needed to finish the story, which would imply he's going to face Roman Reigns again at WrestleMania to finally win the belt. Mind you, there were a lot of folks, and they don't seem to remember this. There were a lot of folks who weren't all too keen on Cody Rhodes winning last year. They were saying that if Cody Rhodes had won the belt at WrestleMania, it would have been predictable. It would have been, oh, what's the big deal? Cody Rhodes isn't even, quote unquote, over with the fans, as they were, right. So
Qualifies that. I mean,
so there was that criticism there. Now, going into WrestleMania 40, it looked like they were setting that up again. But then there was a last minute switch where Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, fresh off of being appointed on the board of directors for TKO Sports, the company that now, an Endeavor that now owns the WWE, was going to enter and take on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania in the main event. They did this little thing where Cody Rhodes said, "Oh, well, I'm going to take you on, Roman, but it won't be at WrestleMania. I'm going to take everything from you. And to help me, or I know someone who knows more about you than anybody else, blah, blah, blah." Introduce The Rock. The Rock comes in. Crowd goes nuts. Cody and The Rock hug like in the middle of the ring. The Rock whispered something into Cody's ear. The Cody smiles, he leaves. And you would have thought there was a nice little switch there, that they're going to do something different, something new. Oh my goodness. The story that we thought was going to occur isn't. They're changing the narrative on us. This is interesting. It caught my interest. But what happened? All of a sudden, everyone got angry. Oh, but Cody should be the winner at WrestleMania. He should be able to go to WrestleMania and beat Roman Reigns. Why do we get The Rock? Blah, 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 blah. And then after about a week of people getting all angry about it online, the WWE appeared to reset and go, "Oh, no, Cody Rhodes will be taking on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania." And then all of a sudden, all these fans are saying, they listen to us. It's because we got angry and we put out a hashtag, "We want Cody," and we want Cody to be at WrestleMania. It's because we wanted it. The WWE's doing it for us. To which I go, oh my God, you guys don't realize you're being played. You really don't realize that you're being played. So to me, that was just emblematic of, again, fandom not liking its particular entertainment product and feeling that they know it better, that the company that's putting on said product has to cater to what they want. And let's be honest, even if they do that, what are they going to say afterwards? Oh, we knew that was going to happen all the time. Oh, they should have done something more interesting. Oh, this, that, and the other. You can't win with this type of fandom these days.
You'll never win with wrestling fans because, unlike comic books or movies, wrestling is weekly. So you can complain actively as the story is unfolding and no one ever gives it time.
And it's live. It's not like Star Trek where, no, this was filmed a year ago, man. We're not going to, we ain't changing course because of how people reacted today. Picard really is going to deal with worms in people's stomachs.
I would love to attend a movie showing where the boos stop the movie and like the guy's got to come up and be like, "I am sorry. Everyone go home. You're not going to like where it happens." Wrestling fandom is super toxic. That's for sure. Now there's a little bit of shade.
Well, I think some of that, sorry to interrupt, but I mean, like some of that in some weird ways, I think we got empowered by some things, and I think some of the fans kind of took that to heart. I mean, look at all the toxic response when that first trailer for the Sonic movie dropped. And granted, yeah, the Sonic looked terrible, and there was such a huge backlash for it that they pulled the picture, redid the CGI, made it look more like the cartoon, and people showed up.
Yeah.
Counterpoint, the same thing happened with the Venom movie, with people complaining about how Venom looked, and Sony did not give a single damn and just proceeded with it the way it was and made $200 million.
And then a second worse one.
Yeah.
The thing is,
that costs money. Yeah.
True. With the WWE, with this one specifically,
cost money.
Yeah, I'll say this much: as a person who gave up WWE, when, for me, Death Knell, when Vince's stuff came out, I literally went into my DVR, I turned it off, and said, "No more WWE." I'll pay attention on YouTube. I'll follow the stories there, but I already know I don't have enough time in the week to catch up and watch it anyway. I did watch their 20-minute back and forth fake press conference where The Rock was actively booed by an unseen audience of about 2,000 people given free tickets to see this event. There's a little bit of backstage tomfoolery because there was implication that Rock taking this actual real life board position was predicated on him actually getting the WrestleMania main event, which to me sounds like complete garbage because he knows the business. He would have known the creative, and it kind of blurs the line, right? Because everyone kind of wants to believe that The Rock is still butthurt that no one liked Black Adam.
Quick question, Mark. Is Mark's image moving for anybody else? Because he's been a still image. There it is. You were a still image of just like
That's
for me
great.
for about 30 seconds there, and no one else
Which
was
is even better.
reacting, and
Which
I
is even
had
better
to
when he's talking
know.
about The Rock. He's just like, The Rock.
Right? You know, it's, as a fan, like I hear that, like, oh, he demanded that he was going to get the main event at WrestleMania, and then because the crowd literally booed him so loudly, he has reverted back to evil heel Rock, which is the best Rock. I know as a fan, not that I'm buying WrestleMania, if Cody doesn't win it this time, good God, I'd be pissed. Like, just let it happen. Roman Reigns is defending the belt 5 times in the last year.
Mark, I'm going to tell you the secret here. The deleting it off your DVR isn't the secret of getting away from a fan base. It's dropping the news. You gotta stop. You don't get the updates.
But
Just say, you know what? It doesn't matter anymore, because as long as you see them, you're gonna get sucked back in.
I mean, the good news is I don't have enough time to actually watch it. And remember, I'm a Punk fan. He came back to the WWE and he's already injured. I won't know what happens to the poor guy. But like, the thing is, if I could separate my news, Kyle, I would do it in a second. But I watch these What
You
Cultures
can
and
mess with the
Cultaholics.
algorithm. Come on, just start watching and liking things. They're completely out there. Look at people setting up in nice, fine window dressings. You know, find out, how
Throw it
do
off
I
the
get my
scent.
topiary looking just right? And you will change the algorithm.
Kyle,
Less
you
WWE.
missed the perfect chance. You missed the perfect chance to hit a rockism there. Going, Mark, if you don't stop following the news, it doesn't matter if you don't watch the show.
Anybody who wasn't awake,
Wow.
you're now awake. It's very true. Though I'll tell you much from watching the YouTube clips and stuff. They're throwing every Rock catchphrase back on a T-shirt. They're milking this cash cow like it never came home. I do find it funny that like the rest of the card is all suffering based on all of that stuff. But I would just simply say this as a would-be fan of the WWE product. I personally think the Roman Reigns not defending, but however many times he has in a given year, it brought prestige to a title, but I think they kind of overshot it now, and they need somebody to defend this thing because apparently he's had the same screw job finish 8 times, 9 times, 10 times.
Yeah, which is true, but the problem is, and this is for again, this is in the wrestling nerd speak. That was the same thing with Ric Flair. Ric Flair would have the title for forever, and most of the time, whenever the thing that would always happen is he would fight some guy, looked like he was going to lose. And this is back in the NWA days, where if the wrestler threw the other wrestler over the top rope, they got disqualified. And that's how Ric Flair would win a majority of his matches. He would take the other wrestler, throw him over the top rope, get disqualified, but the title doesn't change on a DQ. He'd keep it. So Ric Flair would keep his title endlessly on screw job finishes as well. The thing now, though, is you have social media. Okay, you have everybody tracking this sort of thing. You have everybody going, "Oh, Roman Reigns, he only shows up for this show and that show and whatever." And I'm like, well, yeah, that's true. But in the terms of, like, let's say if it was a pro boxer, if you want to take it seriously, if Floyd Mayweather only defends twice a year, if that, are we saying he's less of a boxer? And let's be honest. I mean, Roman Reigns is, he's in remission for leukemia, so he can't run with the same the workload that the other ones are. And as you said, it gives it prestige, him holding onto that title for as long as it's had. Although to me, what really screwed it is when they introduced the second title, the one that Seth Rollins has now. And I'm like, wait a minute, he's no longer the undisputed champion because there's another champion out there.
WWE they can't quite figure out, and and even Mark's glorious AEW, they both have problems with too many belts. there's too much reliance on the prize to fight over, and it waters down everything. And I mean, toxicity completely sidestep, just as watching it. The best thing I watched in wrestling in the last 5 years, for me personally, was the Continental Classic for AEW, which, while it was being fought for titles, I don't think anyone gives a crap about a single one of the 18 belts they won for participating. It was just a really good, no garbage, just wrestling. Who's better than the other guy, bell to bell, no disqualifications, no distractions, just good stuff. It's sort of like, I was like, oh, that's what I appreciate. With the WWE, I'm hopeful that Cody gets the belt. Let him start defending it more often. And if they're truly going to have two separate rosters, then like make both belts great. You know, as far as the toxic fan base goes and them like leading this around, my fear is then what happens after WrestleMania? Where do The Rock and Roman Reigns kind of scuttle away and they let new storylines pop up? Or do we now have to feel like, oh, how much more are we going to drive the story now? What do we like? What do we not like? And oh, now WWE's listening. So we should all like make hashtags to change the program.
This is clearly the Bronze Cheetah's time to step in and truly, I don't know wrestlers. I don't know wrestlers.
Kyle watched it once with like when Kyle and I were roommates, right? And as the story goes, Kyle told me up front, Mark, I am your friend, maybe even your best friend. I'm telling you now that we're living with each other, I will not at all, pardon the language, fuck with wrestling. Don't give a shit. I will be in my room and I will come out of my room for desserts and I will go back to my room. I do not want to know about wrestling. I don't want to see it. Nothing.
It was like 3 hours a night when it was on, man. I mean, those shows just go and go.
And so they did. Eventually, Kyle comes out and he pauses just for a second. And he's like, what's going on? And I was like, oh, well, that's Kurt Angle. And he goes, no, 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 no. He just went and waved his arms, and two guys came out of the back like his goons, and they started fighting. I'm like, well, yeah, he's got goons, the world's greatest tag team, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. And he goes, well, I like that guy. Like, if they had, I didn't know they had goons. I was
I
like,
didn't
yeah,
know they could have henchmen.
yeah. And I was like, really? I should show you Hulk Hogan. He built an entire 20-man division to be his goons.
Well, remember when there was one of the wrestlers had a terrorist sect?
Yeah.
Remember,
Oh my
guys,
God.
thing, and this was like right before 9/11. It's like, oops.
Yeah.
They've stepped in it more than a couple of times.
And for anyone wondering, the exact moment where I said, okay, I gave this a shot, but I'm out now, was Triple H saying, Kane, you're a murderer.
Yeah.
And I watched that happen. I looked at Mark just to make sure it wasn't a joke, and then said, okay, I'm out. I got as far as I can.
Homer into the bushes.
Beautiful.
And I finished my dessert and went back to my room.
Kyle, you missed the Stone Cold being crucified by the Undertaker.
Yes,
Literally.
Yes,
Put him up on a cross.
but
Stone
I did
Cold
see.
on a cross. Like Jesus.
I saw enough.
He really did. He really did.
I saw enough.
Kyle got into wrestling like how I half got into like watching General Hospital with my wife. Sometimes like I would pass through the room while she was watching it. I'm like, who's that? She goes, so and so. Who's that? So and so. I'm like, why are they doing that? Well, so and so fell in love with so and so, and now they're trying to get him. I'm like, that's dumb. So it's like, but she watched it for so many years. I would pass by and like, so I would recognize the actors. I'm like, what are they doing now? So eventually she's like, I'm not going to explain it to you. Like, you don't care. I'm just like, no, I generally care. I mean, not really, but I do, but I don't, but I do.
I want the context.
And it's kind of like, I just want to know. I just want to know. So it just became a running gag between us where it's like, I walk through the room, she's watching. I'm like, who's screwing who's married to who, and whose baby is what now?
Fun fact, Matt actually quit General Hospital when one doctor turned to the next one and he said, you're a murderer.
You know what?
You know, That's how it goes. On that note, Elliott, thank you so much for joining us on the Unshaven Rant-Cast.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.
You helped us dump on even more fan bases than we usually do on each podcast. We're gonna alienate them all.
Before you run for the hills, do you want to shamelessly plug anything?
Of course, yes. Thank you. Of course, you can. If you want to tell me how much Dial of Destiny sucks, you can always go to the
Need to write this down.
Podcast Instagram page. Top Men and Indiana Jones podcast also has a Facebook page. The MCU review you can watch us on YouTube, where you can watch all the episodes where we've reviewed the MCU films, starting with Iron Man all the way through Avengers Endgame. No, I'm sorry, we finished with Spider-Man No Way Home. It's been hard to pick up after that. It's very hard to get any sort of enthusiasm for the MCU right now. And I say that as someone who does occasionally enjoy things here and there. And then you can always follow me on my socials at Elliott Serrano, 2 L's, 2 T's, 2 R's. I'm on Threads, Instagram, and Facebook. And of course, if you're going to come by and say hello, please be nice. I like to treat my Facebook page as my living room, so we like keeping it civil, unlike some people around social media.
Well, thank you very much,
There we
Elliott.
go.
Running with.
Thank
you. Go with God.
Go with Goop.
Yes, go with Goop. Go with Dupe. All right. For the rest of you sticking around, I think what we'll do is we're gonna call it. We're going to call the episode. I'm actually going to read off the outro, and then we're going to stick around and do a bonus so long as you guys have another like 15 ish, because we have fan
already.
questions. Great. So you know what? Thank you everyone for listening to the Unshaven Rant-Cast. I have been your host, Mark Allen Fishman, joined by Matt Wright and Kyle Nepper.
Can we get Elliott back for just a minute? Because I want to see if he has any thoughts on my theory that Harrison Ford in Apocalypse Now is actually Indiana Jones undercover as a military officer. Because I feel like there's a lot of timeline stuff. I just want to get his thoughts. Can we do this like another hour and a half? I want to get professional.
I have things.
You know what? Never mind. Next time.
Be sure to like us on our Facebook page or Instagram page. Leave a 5-star review on whatever app you found this podcast on. And as always, stay
unshaven.
I think that's as close as we've ever gotten.
It's going to be close. Yes.
Look, we all took the breath
Just
at the same
subtitle.
time. We all exhaled at the same
Get
time.
a big block graphic on the bottom so people don't have to actually hear us. They can think, oh, that's what they're saying.
Yeah. We're gonna splice it soon enough. So that's that.
I like how at some point the subtitles will be just dog whistles. That's what we're all trying to say. At the same
Screams. Nothing but screams.
Incomprehensible gibberish.
Okay, I'm gonna duplicate this over. So as we'll call this maybe a YouTube exclusive for now. I'm not sure. We'll see what the fans say. I wanted to put it out there. I put it out to the fans that we might get ourselves some questions for the podcast. I'm going to read through those questions and we're going to answer them. And hopefully like this gives us like, more content, right? Because that's what all the kids say. We need all the content. Now,
content.
Oh man, yeah, there we go. We got plenty of questions. We're going to dive right into them. Now this, it says sorted by, I can either do it, show all comments with the oldest comments first. Perfect. Friend of the show, Victor Dandridge Jr. says, what's the one MCU Phase 1 rumor you wished was true?
Ooh, I can't even remember most of the rumors. Phase 1. I know a lot of stuff was coming out, and I know there were a lot of questions. I don't remember any actual rumors, though.
I don't know if it was so much a rumor, but like, I don't know if it's so much a rumor, but the vague theory or promise that we all thought was going to happen at the end of the Incredible Hulk movie, when you had Tony Stark walk into the bar and talk to the General
Ross,
where General Ross, where everybody just suddenly was like, oh my God, are we having Iron Man versus Hulk? you know, that would have, I think that's probably the closest thing I can kind of remember to any kind of a rumor, or at least a thought of like, oh my Lord, that would be amazing. Before I think the next thing that came out was either one of the individual movies or like the Avengers,
Yeah, I'll be
something in
honest.
that night.
I'm with Kyle, man. I don't remember any rumors. I just remember like all of us seeing Iron Man coming out of that going, that was really something else. I wonder if we're gonna get if everything that they're doing is like this, we might actually like turn these muggles into comic book fans.
Yeah, I don't truly remember any of them there. I remember the only one I will remember, or that I vaguely remember, is during the Iron Man movie. They very clearly set up War Machine when Terrence Howard looks at one of the Iron Man
Oh,
suits
next
and
time.
says, "Next time." So that's the only one that I vaguely remember because it was so implied in the movie.
Yeah.
So
So
otherwise, yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
sorry, Vic. You tell us. How about that? All right. Friend of the show, Taya McKenzie, has two questions. The first one, moldy provolone or slimy mozzarella?
Salami mozzarella, you can rinse it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't do anything about mold. You gotta cut that right off and burn it.
I don't want to die
But
with either of those, but slimy mozzarella, I feel like I could bake until not slimy.
well, no, you bread it and deep fry it, and then it's delicious.
Yes. Yes. I enjoy that. Hey, do you want 6 tortillas, Kyle? God, no.
No, no, I do not.
How about okay, that's fine. Actually, I'm going to take those 6 tortillas. I'm going to cut them up into 8 pieces each, deep fry them, salt them, and then serve them with salsa.
Ooh, I would love that. In fact,
Yeah.
can I have an extra one?
Yeah, exactly. Her second question, which I will say is one of two comments that got one of our fans to like because they thought it was good.
Ooh.
Would you rather fight 100 cockroach-sized bears or one bear-sized cockroach?
100 cockroach-sized bears.
That would be
100%. I don't
adorable.
think my brain could handle a like 6-foot cockroach, like healing up and ready to fall on me. My brain would explode.
Yeah. I
No.
think just 100
Give it-
cockroach-sized bears is just adorable.
Well, given our lovely history a la Atlanta with cockroaches, now I'm just having a terrible sub-in memory where it's just I'm not seeing a cockroach. I'm just seeing a
Are they
tiny
trying
little
to fight
bear just kind
me?
of crawling on the walls, and then
Yeah.
Kyle screaming, going like, "Ah, cockroach bears!"
Yeah, are they trying to fight us too, or are we trying to we turn on the lights and 100 of them scatter in every direction, and we're trying to like chase and stomp
No.
on them before they climb out the window?
You flip the lights and they all turn towards you, and now they're coming at you.
Oh, 100 cockroach-sized bears for sure. I would stomp the heck out of all those little bears.
Just a tiny bear crawling on the ceiling, like
Because I am a
scurrying around like a
monster.
bug. Just
All right. Thank you for that, Taya. Patrick Hughes. Love you, Pat. I need to know, when am I going to see some trading cards? I will take unshaven creators and unshaven characters. Also, action figures.
See, the problem with that, with the cards, is you're gonna end up getting like those crusty collectible cards from The Simpsons, where it's like Kyle visits with his family from Iowa he does not see very often. It's we don't have enough interesting stuff yet to really flush out a whole series of collectible cards. So you're gonna get a lot of filler.
Yeah, though I think those, not to sell, it would be fun to do if we had just an abundance of time. I would love the idea of like a 24 set that, you get 1 or 2 cards per pack of Kyle pitching the comic and you have to put them together in order.
I've assembled the 20 by 20-foot wall, and it's just a giant mural that says, "Can I tell you about my comic book?"
Yeah, I will love that.
Fun fact. I just found out, I guess the most recent Topps football cards that are being released out into the general public that have just come out this year. It's either the football cards or the baseball cards. There's a limited edition run of like only 52 of them, where on the card itself is a tiny little Kevin Hart just in different poses on like 52 individual cards. And it's just like, I'm like, that's just obscure and funny enough that it's awesome. So if we had trading cards, I think it would be something, we would be doing something as stupid as that, just
If you collect all 52 into one place, it will forge the wheel of time.
And I would say this much, Pat, as we mentioned at the top of this podcast, when we get to Vegas, we hope someone wants to make Samurnauts action figures. So here's hoping. Taya is back. She's got two more. Do you believe truly in the existence of cryptids? For those who don't know, cryptids are like the mysterious creatures that are in many people's mythologies. That can include the Kraken, Bigfoot, Wendigos.
Mothman.
Yeah. Owlman, I see on here. Shug Monkey.
Mothman.
I'm just looking at a list from Google. I've never heard of the Mothman, but
it's a rabbit hole, man. Don't look into it.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, Mothman things. Yeah.
But like the question is, do any of you actually believe that those things exist?
No. We have
Same.
found every lost tribe. If there really was a Sasquatch in the forest, somebody would have shot it and stuffed it by now.
I think that's pretty airtight.
I'm sorry. I don't.
I'd like to be curiously open. I'd like to think that there's some stuff in the world, maybe some unexplained mysteries. Am I saying it's the Mothman? Am I saying it's Bigfoot? No.
I think the closest we might get might be a Kraken.
I would like to hold out hope that, we haven't discovered everything. I mean, look, we've gone down to the Marianas Trench and discovered new species of fish and everything else, but we have not explored every part of the ocean. You don't know what the frick is down there, man.
Yeah, but I believe there could be life in the ocean. I believe there could be life on this planet that we have not discovered. I do not believe that any of them are the cryptids that people are looking for. Do I believe there's still things to find? Yes. Do I believe in Bigfoot, Nessie, Mothman, or any of them? No.
I want 100. No. I want 100 cockroach-sized Krakens. All right. Okay, and Taya's last question: which is scarier, the Annabelle doll or Martha Stewart? And there is a right answer.
The Annabelle doll is one of those things where it's taking something that is meant to be fun or childlike and twisting it to a darker purpose. It's like when you have a child possessed by the devil or an old lady who is, possessed by evil. It's always inherently scarier because it is a thing that is supposed to be harmless turned into a way that is harmful. So, yes, I believe Annabelle is scarier than Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart wasn't smart enough to stay out of prison.
Kyle, once again, flawless. I got nothing else to add. Okay. Nope, Matt.
I would make the argument that Martha Stewart's scarier. Just on the pure fact that Annabelle you're talking about somebody's purpose belief to think that the doll moved. And in real life, I know Martha Stewart exists.
Okay, I will give Matt the point on that one and concede my argument to Matt's airtight logic there, because Martha Stewart is a billionaire who are inherently evil and terrible, and Annabelle is made up.
You've changed my mind, both of you. Martha Stewart. All right. Actually, it's funny. Pat and a couple people keep repeating themselves. So Pat is back. Are you guys excited for X-Men 97? I'm going to keep this really short. Yes.
I've actually gone back and started rewatching the old Fox X-Men a little bit, which, by the way, they kind of pave over the whole Magneto was in the Holocaust thing. For anyone who doesn't remember, they just say there was a war and his family died. And it's the whole, we're not going to say who. It's a pretty big deal. Or the fact that Charles Xavier makes him relive it at one point and messes up his brain.
The show wasn't great. It was good. It had periods of great. I was rewatching clips on YouTube, and I was watching the one where they fight X Factor, one of my favorite episodes of all time, because anytime you got more mutants, man. Oh, it was so great. But to hear Wolverine go, all right, I'm gonna he tries to swear, but it gets cartoonified down. I'm like, oh, that doesn't track at all.
I was excited until somebody pointed out the fact that in the revamped version they've toned down Rogue's butt.
Man, I knew you were gonna say that.
There
I
was
knew you were gonna say
look,
that.
there is a
Right to the butt.
generation of kids that grew up liking a bigger booty,
It's
and
one
we can
frame, man,
probably
okay?
attribute some of that to Rogue. I am just pointing that out. And she came back and she lost her BBL and it went down to a flat ass. That's all I'm saying.
My only gripe personally, like for real, I don't like so far the replacement Wolverine voice.
The voices in general, it's anytime they change voices in a show, like anytime I've watched an anime or anything like that, where it's the whole, oh, a main character's voice got changed in the middle between seasons, and there's like 4 more seasons where they're not going to sound right, always throws me. But I,
Damn it, Uncle Iroh.
It's never. It's look. That one wasn't that bad. That
was
one was pretty decent.
okay.
That one wasn't that bad. You want a bad Wolverine voice? Go watch Children of the Atom, the one-shot animation where he sounded Australian, not even
Yeah.
Canadian.
It was
It's like,
bad.
all right, let's go.
but
Okay.
in short, I'm looking forward to it and I'm excited for it.
Yes,
Good.
looking forward to it.
River has a bunch of questions for us to hit
All right.
through.
Rapid
First
fire,
one.
hit it.
What are your opinions of the Deadpool 3 trailer?
Liked it.
Shut up and take my money.
Yeah, promising.
Yeah,
Liked
want to
it.
see it. Like airtight, great. Stem to stern. What's been the best part of doing conventions? Can I take a cop out and say actually connecting with strangers who become our friends because of the work we did?
Hint, hint, River, we mean you. But no, for me, it's the fact that dozens, if not more times in a weekend, I have people where I spend a minute telling them what our book is about, and they respond with, I love that idea so much. I want that more than my money.
Yeah.
It's traveling the country and recognizing that nerddom for certain various things is just a universal currency, and we can all it gives me some hope that we can get along. And then we open our mouths and we hear toxic fans, and then I lose that faith, but then I get it back when I see kids pick up our book. So pluses and minuses.
It's good. What is the best, or what's been the most unexpected part of doing conventions
Ooh, most unexpected part?
that we've been successful? I mean, to a degree, I'm going to say that. I would say that from the very first show that we did, where we sold 47 books, to looking at some of our numbers, there were weekends where we sold upwards of 600 floppy copies in a weekend. That kind of growth happening, I would think, was super unexpected. I would say some of the people that we have pitched have been super unexpected. Yeah, beyond that, I mean, there's probably a million things I'm missing, but that's what pops to my mind.
How chill a lot of the people that work the shows are, and how like friendly and accommodating, even when they've got these like big structures. We've had like people at the top, middle, and bottom that have always been like super cool of like helping us navigate shows, navigate being there, navigate getting in, navigating setup. It's most every show. I hesitant to remember, or I don't recall anyone where we've had, man, the showrunners of this show are awful, we will never do this again, or that we've been mistreated. Like,
Very rare.
yeah, I think we counted it off at one point. Didn't I say we've been to over like 100 conventions now?
Yep.
And I think I can distantly remember maybe one, there might have been two, like shows where like the people running it were like problems.
Yeah. There is a certain camaraderie that comes to the show floor. There's a magic hour where everyone's coming together, and it's not about selling against one another. It's not about gathering attention. It really is, we're all here together. We all had to get up early to get our asses in the building. Let's all hope for a great show, that kind of thing. Matt?
I would say like the plus of, what was it? The pluses of it?
It's what's most unexpected.
Well, probably the most unexpected would probably be the and probably lumping into some of the best part of doing the shows is just when you're sitting next in Artist Alley and you want, you know, it's the luck of the draw, and maybe you're sitting next to a Kyle Hotz, or you're sitting next to the, you know, one of the creators of Ren and Stimpy, or you're sitting next to like these guys, and it's just like you're just like, oh my God, it's these guys. And they turn to you and like just like anybody else, they're like, hey man, how you doing? Like they're just you are thinking they're up here, and they turn around and then they're just right there with you going like, hey man, you want a jelly donut? Or, you know, just something as stupid as that, you know,
Seeing
like,
Mike Gold and John Ostrander, old man Grumple,
oh
snipe at
my
each
God,
other,
that is
just like two old friends, I think that would be there. Here's
yeah.
another one. What are you most excited for career-wise? Doesn't have to be Unshaven related. Could be individual.
Ooh, I will say my day job that now has an aspect involving robots.
That's exciting. I would say, I mean, I don't know if this is excited for, proud of, whatever, but um, I have moved on in part at times from being a pixel pusher to a manager of pixel pushers. And the fact that I've been told by everybody who's ever worked under me that I was the cool boss and that they felt like they got better at what they did because of how I helped them, I'm super excited about it. Anytime I can help somebody be a better version of themselves career wise, I don't know how you top that. And then not have to do the scut work. So double thumbs up for that one.
Uh, Personally, it's just been kind of exploring new art. I don't want to say mediums, but just, you know, new art venues, as far as like just kind of experimentations with books and things of that nature. But personally, as far as like the day job, um, I've I've been at my new day job for like 1.5 years. So it's kind of it's more of a stupider thing of just, you know, finally reaching that point where I don't feel I am like I'm a leech. You know, I'm just, they can give me something, I can do it. I don't have to ask too many questions. And, you know, it's always nice when you're in a job, especially in a new job, where it's just like you've reached that point where it's just like, cool, you can just give me that thing and I'll run. I don't got to turn around and ask 80 bajillion questions. I just know what to do.
Makes
So,
sense.
which is
Just
nice.
as a point for everybody watching, hello. Uh it is late when we're recording this. I'm gonna give ourselves like another 6, 7 minutes before people will start turning into pumpkins because we got way more content than I thought. Like this thing went nuts. Moving on. Dan Levy, who you will enjoy as the guy who does all the bumpers, the Unshaven News. That's Dan.
Oh,
Hey, hi,
Uh,
Dan.
I'm venturing into the beard world. I just got my first beard kit that involves oil, wash, conditioner, brush, balm, and comb. It's all a bit scary. Is there an order in which I'm supposed to do all of this? I've seen a few YouTube videos and it's all different. How many times a day am I supposed to apply the wash? Please help.
okay. So the short answer is it varies person to person. This is a bit like, how often should I wash my hair? That's gonna depend on you. So you're gonna have to the guy without a beard is going to explain to you that you're gonna try to just do what works for you. Okay, there is no set single definitive answer. You're gonna have to try different things. You have to figure out what feels good with your skin and what looks the way you want.
And as the
Yeah,
guy with
there's
the longest, biggest beard of the group, I'm here to admit to everybody, I've never done anything. I just brush it in the morning.
probably is the guy that's probably put the most amount of product in his beard.
That would be
Uh,
you.
that would be me. Mostly because I get pretty itchy, dry skin after a couple of days. Dan, I usually typically my beard wash is, you know, it's right there when I shower. You know, I just, you know, one shampoo is for the hair and or body wash is for the hair, one's for the beard. I just do that. I've things in the past as far as like a beard oil, applying it daily to help keep it soft and smooth. I usually just do it after the shower, dude. I just do it after the shower, and then the only difference I've really found is that between the brush and the comb is that when your beard is shorter, um, more in line with where I'm at versus where Mark's at. The brush is good to kind of keep it straight and everything else, but once it gets to Mark's length, you're gonna have to switch over and wind up using a comb or a brush just to kind of help get it straightened out. Otherwise, you're gonna get knots, and that's a whole lovely
Painful.
thing of its own. Yeah. So
Okay,
No.
6 minutes, guys. Move to the next one.
Good luck.
life
Okay.
advice. La la
Right.
la.
Pat Hughes is back to ask, what was each of your favorite childhood collectible, and do you still own it, and or did you buy it back?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, mine's on a shelf right above me. It's the old school. Well, do you want me to grab it? I gotta
Sure.
stand up.
Go ahead.
This was bought back. It is not the original. It's Grimlock, baby.
Nice.
My favorite Transformer. Got the old toy. I don't remember where I rebought it, but yeah, I rebought the old toy a few years ago and keep it on the shelf where I can look at them every day.
Well played, Matt.
I do have a couple. Hang on.
As we all have to show it off. I might as well get mine
If it's
too.
right there.
It's true. I'm with you.
Well, that's going on just to make sure it doesn't get quiet. Grimlock, truly the strongest one there is.
I mean, whatevs. Team Soundwave.
Eh.
I don't have a
Overrated.
lot left. Unfortunately, I was a victim of my mom coming home one day, or me coming home one day to my mom forcibly cleaning my room. So all my original Thundercats and He-Mans and all that stuff were kicked to the curb without my knowledge. One thing that has survived,
Oh, maybe.
as you could tell by the video
iconic
here,
sword.
guys, and for my audio, it's the Sword of Voltron, and lo and behold, the all-metal Voltron that Mark bought me from Venture way back in the day off of Hollisett Street is still around and kicking.
Yes.
So,
That is a good one.
and it still works.
Damn right it does. Early childhood stuff, I couldn't tell you. It was most likely Space Cadet Raph from the original Turtles. I don't know why I like that one so much, but I did.
I had that one too.
Flash forward a couple of years.
I think you can rebuy them. Like,
You
they
probably
repackaged
can.
them these days.
Yeah, but I'll actually say I do own it. It is Wolf Bronsky from
Nice.
Exo Squad.
Nice.
Love it. Now this is I got this in a bin with a bunch of them, and this one has all 5 missiles. The one I owned, I lost like 3 of them.
Well, it's gonna happen. They go under the couch, or
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, easy.
They're all gone. But there you go, Pat. Those are the favorites. Let's keep it going. Amber Yoder Kozer said, one of my students said she saw you at Comic-Con. She remembered you talking with the class, which I'd love to have you do again if you are willing. Amber, I'm replying to you live. Yes. PM
Anytime,
me,
anywhere,
we
anytime.
have a
we'll
podcast. Of course, we love to hear ourselves
be there
talk, and we'll do it
with
anywhere.
bells on. Yeah, there you go, Amber. We're coming. Next, Lindsay Alice Halleck asks, is an otter really just a wetter, fancier prairie dog? I'll say wetter.
I think they're more bendy too, comparatively. I think they
Bloopy.
flow more. And I mean, do prairie dogs use rocks to break open clams? Because I don't think so.
Probably not. So you're
I'm
putting
gonna
otters
say
above them.
Otters have figured out tools, and I don't think prairie dogs are there yet.
Otter above prairie dog.
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
That's all I got is no.
That works.
Simple.
Okay. We're going to end with Michael Swanson, and then everybody else who did list questions, stay tuned. We will do another episode. Next time we record, we will keep tackling these. Sound good? Michael asks, 2-parter, is there really a significant difference between Swedish meatball sauce and beef stroganoff sauce? And with either, is white rice, mashed potatoes, or egg noodles the preferred bed for the stroganoff or Swedish meatballs?
The preferred bed for everyone, or for us in particular?
I'm going to say, let's just do it individually.
Okay. Yes, especially if you ask the people who eat them, who know things about food, because I do not, but people get very huffy about them. So if you ask people that love Swedish meatball sauce, I'm sure they will tell you, yes, there is a difference, because why wouldn't there be?
I would say they're both very similar in that they're basically just a gravy. From what I recall, I think the Swedish meatball one is a little thicker. And I would say between the two, I am a Swedish meatball fan. And as far as bed goes, mashed potatoes, absolutely champion king.
I'm in a rough
Uh,
spot here because the only time I've had any kind of stroganoff was in a box that said hamburger helper.
Right.
So I feel like I should say noodles because that's truly my only experience.
Meatball sauce, Swedish meatball sauce and stroganoff, depending on who makes it and how you make it, can vary differently. They're both cream-based sauces. To me, any from the either I've had, they're both equally thin. I don't really detect any kind of thickness between the two. But if I have my choice, egg noodles is the superior way to go uh, as far as eating those.
All right. I
There
do
you
want
go.
to, I will sign off on this. I will say only because it's relevant. I noticed under River's second barrage of questions, Elliot did
Do you have a
give us a
subreddit?
question. Yeah. Elliott Serrano, our guest today on the podcast. Make sure that you check out the other episode. He did leave us a question, and then Rob Southgate added on to it. How often do you discover change in the pockets of pants you're putting on? And Rob asks, that's assuming Mark wears pants. Rob, first and foremost, I want to point this out. And as my witnesses, Mark always wears pants and
Yeah,
a
he's pro
t-shirt.
pants.
Mark,
He is
Yes.
even in the summertime when we're like,
Yes.
dude, it's 101. He's just like pro pants.
Mark does not wear shorts ever
Or kilts.
or
Or
kilts.
yeah.
But I will wear a maxi dress.
Or bathing suits.
No,
Uh,
but a nice
Muumuus.
maxi dress.
Well, let's
Ooh.
assume that you've like put on a pair of pants that I haven't worn these in a while, put them on, check, hey, a quarter.
It
So
doesn't happen anymore because I think I've been mostly cashless for probably a decade.
I can recall it's happened to me exactly twice in my life. Never pants, only coats. Whereas I pull out the winter coat, it's like, what's inside here? And obviously, there's a lot of stuff in my coats when I finally bring them back out of the closet. And I have found money on two separate occasions. Once was a 20, once was an
Ooh.
envelope with over $100 in it. And that was a fun day because hadn't realized it is a whole story.
And
But
it must be. That's great. Like cash.
cash.
That's great. Because the worst thing, I have pulled out somebody's check that expired.
Oh.
I was like, that was money. I found in we moved and I found in I had this coin purse. I don't know where I got it from. And I was like, what's even in here? And there was a gift card a beloved friend gave me to a restaurant that died at the pandemic.
Oh.
I was like, oh, that just hurts.
Let's see. I have probably amongst the three of us, I have had more jobs where tangible cash has come into play as far as like a tip per se with some of the jobs I've had. So there has been on occasion I've changed. Yes, there's been times I've put on a pair of pants and I'm like, oh, here's a quarter, here's 35 cents, something of stupid in that nature. I think one time I pulled out a 10 out of a old pair of jeans and I was just like, that was kind of a fun surprise. The one that got me was my dad years ago went to Mexico and came back with a leather duffel bag full of authentic handmade leather things that he gave to his kids, for Christmas. My sister's got purses, my brother and I each got like a wallet, and he gave us each a money belt, a handmade leather money belt where you could hide money in it for like when you travel, so in case you got robbed, nobody's going to check the belt. Well, I totally forgot that I had money into the belt. And when I found it one
Money
day,
belt
I
paid out?
unzipped it, and I was like, there's $40 in here.
Hey, secret money belt for the win. So there you go. There's your free content, everybody. Thank you all for leaving questions, and for the rest of you. Your questions will be answered. There's so many here. Thank you. We'll continue to keep this up. Hopefully, to all of our new fans on YouTube, thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you for liking the video. Please do the same thing for this one if you enjoy three guys getting older by the minute, answering your weird questions. We're here for it. And please, guys, send some love to Kyle, who finally unearthed the left side of his screen, and Matt, who is now in widescreen.
I
So
didn't realize it was a problem before. When I watched the videos, I'm like, I look fine. I didn't think it was an issue.
we're just getting notes from the fans. We do what y'all say, and when they say Matt's in phone mode, why is he in phone mode, and why is he in a cave, and why can't I see any of it further? Now you guys can see. Matt can.
Yes. And
He's
the
got a
rest of my
stove.
storage room.
Yeah, it's great.
Anyone see the
that's an old
box of
old
old
stove
diapers
when we
behind
moved
me?
in.
Yes.
There's the
I
washer
look
and
at-
dryer back there. There's the Kelvinator. Wait. There's the Kelvinator fridge that just won't die from the 80s.
I like it. It's got Hellboy on it. It still counts. I enjoy all of it. So thank you, everybody. We will see you on the next Q&A for Unshaven Comics. Please send your love, because we're going to Vegas in 3 months. And now I have to hit the stop record thing.